Welcome back to
Yeah,
the Before the Shot podcast. Yes, it's me bringing in today. First off, guys, Jalen Brown. I was high on him yesterday. So, what do you guys think?
Had a big game last night, 42 points against the much injured Memphis Grizzlies in the Celtics win. I like what I saw from Jalen Brown, 42 points, but one, the Grizzlies don't have much to stop anyone right now. They don't have much on their active roster. They have Jaren Jackson Jr., John Morant, Justice Winslow. A lot of their players are hurt right now. Memphis is a shell of what it normally is, and I'd like to see it more consistently and for a longer period of time from Jalen Brown.
right on the right on the point with consistency. I think that's one of I think the Celtics' biggest struggle throughout the years with Tatum and Brown, and even when they had Rozier, but now with Walker last year. I mean, consistency is a big key, especially with how they play. I mean, high active shooting, ball movement. Everyone has to be able to hit shots on a consistent basis for them to keep going. One thing I like about Brown, though, is that he's always playing defense. His effort on defense is there. I've never seen an off night defensively from him. Even if his guy does score 30, he's still actively in his face. He's making him work for the 30. So I've always been high on Brown. I love what he brings to the table. He's a good person to bring alongside Jason Tatum in his development.
I think too, it's their shot selection. Remember early in Jalen Brown and Tatum's career where they would take long mid ranges.
Yeah.
Now they're pushing those back to the three and taking more threes and layups, high percentage shots. So one other thing I was gonna say is those guys. There's something about like not having Kyrie and Hayward there that's giving them more confidence and giving them more shots, so like more shots to shoot. You know,
Yeah.
think about now they're playing so much better without those guys.
Yeah, true. But I think also, think about it. There's not many people competing for the ball.
Mm-hmm.
As like Marcus Smart, although people label him as a guy who can score, but he's not really gonna fight you over ball time. You know, I call ball time like getting the ball in your hands. Like he's not really ball dominant.
Mm-hmm.
I think Tatum and Brown do sometimes kind of like in the bubble. Sometimes you'd see like who's gonna take the last shot, but you'd rather think of that between two people than four. So it's
a question. As constructed, do you think this roster could win a championship as constructed?
With or without Kemba?
With
Kemba?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Without no.
Kemba? No.
What do you think they have?
Kemba would have to return to his former self,
Mm-hmm.
and he would have to come back from his injury 100% healthy and be really good. The East is tough, but we're not even talking about just winning the East. They can win the East, but
yeah.
Then you have the Lakers.
You got winning a championship. You got the Lakers. You got the Clippers. You got whoever comes out of the juggernaut of the Western Conference is going to be clearly the favorite over whoever comes out in the East.
All right, go ahead.
My issue is like really just like if the Celtics continue to shoot well, I think they can. But we saw some shooting last night, you know, with the Nets and Hawks. I know we might be getting into that one too.
That's what we can go to next, so you can get us started with it.
I mean, like just the fact that we've seen a ton of great shooting. Both teams like upper in the 40s for 3-point percentage. I mean, Trae Young having a great night. Had Kyrie on some skates a little bit.
Trae Young didn't even hit a 3-pointer. He didn't hit a 3-point shot.
The fact that you said that shows how dynamic his game is. I mean, his three is what he's known for, but he can affect the game in multiple ways.
Mm-hmm. I feel like even though that was a loss for the Hawks, that was a win because they're like, oh, we can compete with the top teams in the East, you know?
Yeah.
I would agree, but I would also disagree. When you have a young team like that and a team that went all in and built for this, they don't want moral victories. They're not there for moral victories. As much as you like to know that you can compete, it's not – you want to win those games.
Mm-hmm.
This team is set up. They want to win now. They want to get to the playoffs, and they want to make a big impact. And Yes, it's a regular season game. No, it doesn't matter. Yes, it showed off their depth a lot. John Collins had 30. Bogdanovich had over 20. Reddish had over 20. Trae Young had over 20. But the biggest thing was they still didn't find a way to win the game. They gave up 145 points. You
I saw
can't give up
somebody
145 points.
I saw somebody trying to put a trade package on Facebook to get like Wiggins and Oubre for that team. I'm like, no. The thing is with this team, they're young now, right? They're going to be good now, but they're not going to win a title, obviously, because you got the Lakers and the Nets or whatever. But think about in 3 years, when this team grows old with young, they could be a championship contender in 3 years. So you should keep the Reddishes and the Hunters and find out which guy you need right now, or maybe trade one, you know?
Yeah. I definitely don't think it's a win now, championship or fail season. I think, it's good to see that we finally have a team that fits around Trae for the most part. But we see him because a big thing, he can score the ball, but a big thing, he feeds off of playmaking. And so when you get guys like Bogdanovich and, you guys have Hunter that are hitting shots, Colin looking like an animal in the paint. I mean, you're getting guys that are feeding off of his playmaking ability, and that ultimately elevates the game.
All right, let's move into Bucks and Heat. Zach, what do you think about that game?
The Heat got a revenge from the night before. Still no Jimmy Butler in that game, but after just getting demolished a couple of nights ago, they come back and they pick up a win. The Heat have not played that well to start the season, but they're hanging in there, and that's fully what I expect from the Heat. I expect them to hang in. I don't expect them to do a huge thing. I think I had them in the middle 4 through 6 range of the Eastern Conference when I picked yesterday on the podcast. We're going to do Western Conference next in a minute. That should get really interesting. But with the Heat, I think that I think they're going to be solid. And they showed that again last night, that they have the ability to be solid, and it just doesn't faze them. That's one thing about being so well coached like they are with Eric Spoelstra there. They lost by 47 points the night before, and they came out, they weren't phased, and they pick up a win.
Mm-hmm.
You have to. Yeah, you have to have that, even kill after you lose by 47 or whatever score. You always got to bounce back. Same with the Clippers being down by 50-something at halftime. You always got to come back the next game. This is the NBA. It's only one loss.
Didn't Giannis send out a tweet? Didn't you share that? Did you share that? That was fake.
Yeah, I think it was
say maybe that killed them. The tweet was that apparently Giannis said that the Lakers and the Heat only played good because of the bubble and it was a fluke, and we proved it wrong last night.
That was fake, but yeah.
No way.
Yeah, that didn't happen.
All right, next game, the Lakers and the Spurs. You know the story of this game? West Side, my boy Wes Matthews.
Yeah, he did. He had.
It would have been awful on Wes Matthews. Hold on, when did Wes Matthews become the boy? All you talk about is how you don't want him on the.
He gave LeBron. It was LeBron's birthday present. He won 6%.
All you say is that he shouldn't be on the floor and that they should play THT more.
Yeah.
Don't front for the pod.
Last night. That's all that matters.
Don't front for the pod.
No, I mean it's it's expected. Lakers.
Yeah.
LeBron's birthday. Come on, you can't lose on LeBron's birthday.
Well, I do like the Spurs team. I think they're averaging 30 assists a game. It was. So, and they have DeMar DeRozan running power forward. If you guys watched the game, that was interesting.
I didn't see that. No,
They're running a 4-guard lineup. They're starting DeJounte Murray, DeMar DeRozan, Lonnie Walker, and Keldon Johnson, along with Jakob Poeltl. So they're running DeMar DeRozan at 4.
Yeah, Portal's usually Aldridge, right? Yeah.
Well, Murray and Walker are pretty long though. So I mean, they're not your typical guards, but that's still incredible though.
This is gonna be a great defensive team in 4 years. Think about it with all those guys.
Yeah.
How'd you guys feel about that Hornets and Mavericks game?
That's the game that I spent. That's the game I spent the most time watching.
Mm-hmm.
And Miles Bridges put on a show. 20 points, 16 rebounds. LaMelo Ball looked really good as well. Hit 4 threes. He had 16 rebounds, career high 16 rebounds for Miles Bridges.
Is he
Yeah.
coming off
LaMelo
the
Ball
bench?
had 22 points, 4 threes. Yeah, he's coming off the bench. I heard a prediction yesterday. Somebody said, it was a pretty hot take, that if the Hornets make the playoffs, Miles Bridges will win Sixth Man of the Year.
I see it.
Yeah.
I think that if they make the playoffs, he's got a shot. Miles Bridges is really excelling in that role off the bench for them with their starting lineup. They're playing right now without Cody Zeller after their first 2 games, and they've won them both, beating the Nets and the Mavericks.
Mhm.
And those are good teams. And the Hornets were able to pick up 2 wins there, and they've got the Grizzlies in their next one, which a shorthanded Grizzlies team is a team that the Hornets could beat, and they look really good right now. LaMelo Ball and Miles Bridges on that second unit has been strong, but both of those guys are finishing the game.
Mhm.
In the big moments, LaMelo
The
Ball is
finishing
on
lineup.
the floor. Miles Bridges is on the floor.
Who's the finishing lineup?
The finishing lineup, LaMelo Ball has been on and off depending on if he's hot, but you've got Terry Rozier is definitely on the floor. Devontae Graham or LaMelo Ball. You've got Gordon Hayward, you've got Miles Bridges, and you've got Bismack Biyombo. That's the finishing lineup.
I would put PJ Washington in there instead of Biyombo.
PJ Washington's not a good interior defender.
True.
He can't defend
Makes sense.
inside.
Yeah.
Biyombo can get rebounds, and he can play defense. That's what he does, and that's what they need him to do. They have enough scoring on that lineup. You got Rozier, you've got Ball or Graham, you've got Bridges, you've got Hayward. You don't need more scoring. You need rebounding and defensive ability.
Question: Drummond trade for this team?
No.
Did you see it? They need a center.
Who
No.
are we gonna get? What's the package? I'm the Cavs GM right now. Who's the package?
And I'll be the Hornets GM.
I'll throw you Biyombo, Malik Monk, and a second-round pick.
There's no way the Cavs are taking that.
No way.
No?
Malik Monk hasn't shown anything. I don't know.
You're just gonna let Drummond walk in free agency?
And why do they need
You're gonna
another
need something
guard?
for him. He's a unrestricted free agent after this year. You're just gonna let him walk? He's
I
on a
wouldn't let him
weird-
He
walk.
might not want.
Huh?
I mean,
You want something for him? We'll give you
Who said he's gonna walk?
Biyombo, Monk, and a second-round pick.
Who said he's going to walk?
I mean, he's loving Cleveland, man. He's embracing
Right,
the
from what
Browns.
From what I've heard, he's got or people are saying he might stay.
Really?
So no,
Dayton's
we
not
don't
lying.
need bigs.
Dayton
We
is
don't
not
want
lying.
bigs.
I'm just, that's not intriguing at all? What about a
No.
first-rounder? We could throw in a Martin brother.
No.
Bro, James Johnson was throwing last night. Did you guys see that?
Yeah.
He body checked Martin, and then they both got ejected. And then the other Martin got a technical foul because he came in and started.
That's funny that they're still on the same team.
Yeah.
All right.
You can't even – watching the Hornets games, it's hard to tell them apart, to be honest with you. Especially because they wear
Bruh.
10 and 11, and it's like, bruh.
So, Terry, what happened to your Blazers last night?
Man, you know what? I think I saw this on Twitter, and me and this guy, we go back. We don't go back and forth, but we talk about the Blazers games all the time. And I honestly think Harry Giles should be played a lot more, if not more than Cantor, maybe even competing minutes against Nurk, because Nurk hasn't really given us much defensive force. I mean, I know he's not really a defensive guy, but the effort needs to be there. We just simply got out-muscled. I mean, defensively, like our defensive struggles has been shown this whole season. I mean, sometimes we can outscore teams. Like, I feel like we kind of outscored the Lakers. But at the end of the day, we got to improve on defense. And I haven't seen anything. Hopefully Terry Stotts is not fired. I don't think he's a bad coach, but some emphasis needs to be on the other side of the ball for sure.
I think the Clippers are a bad matchup too, because they have Patrick Beverly and Paul George and Kawhi who can guard your, Lillard and McCollum in your wings, and they have Ibaka that can guard Nurkic. So it's just a bad matchup for you. Think about the Lakers. We don't really have a good defensive backcourt, so Lillard and McCollum could get off on us.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't really the wings. It was more so like, what are we doing to try and counter their offense? It's like our offense was kind of flowing, the dribble handoffs, I like how we do like the dribble handoff pick scenario to get McCollum and Lillard free, but it's like once we got on defense, it's like there's no intensity. There's nothing to stop them. So hopefully we pick it back up, but it just did not look good. I think like that was their main focus with bringing in Derrick Jones Jr., Harry Giles, like upping their defense. Gary Trent's playing a lot more minutes now, but I just don't see it. Trent's been playing good, but I just don't see the defensive urgency that I need.
Zach?
I think that it's going to be really interesting to watch how that progresses, and I think you guys definitely hit it on the head with that. They need to improve to live up to those expectations. And, I mean, there's a lot of people saying that the Blazers can be a top 2 team in the West in terms of seeds, and they need more. They need more out of those guys. Yeah. Now, we're going to move into our next segment here on today's podcast, Western Conference predictions. Yesterday was Eastern Conference. Those got a little interesting. Dayton with a hot take having Cleveland at 8. Not sure how I feel about that one, but we're going to move to the West, and I'll give my number 1 seed. Well, let's just clear this up. We all have LA at 1, right? We all have the Lakers at 1.
Yeah.
Terry,
you got Lakers?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
All right, so I'll just get my number 2. I'm gonna stick with the Clippers at 2. Same top 2 as last year.
I do as well. I have the Clippers being at number 2. They're starting off pretty good, so I have them at 2 for sure.
Yeah, I'm putting the Clippers at 2. I like this team a lot better than last year's team just because of what Ibaka gives them.
All right, so I'll go with my number 3 in the West. I'm gonna go with Denver at 3. I'm gonna stick with the same group as last year at the top. I think those teams got a little bit better in the offseason, and the loss of Jeremy Grant is not going to hurt the Nuggets as much as people think it is in the regular season. The Nuggets will still be the 3 seed.
I have the Suns at 3. I think I honestly do. I feel like Grant was something like was their score. Like normally I was thinking maybe the Nuggets maybe at 3, but I was really feeling the Suns with Mikal Bridges playing well. Chris Paul is going to always bring that leadership, but also he brings the playmaking, scoring.
Hey, hopefully drop Mikal Bridges in fantasy. I picked him up like bad.
I was about to say, I was like, what? I mean, he brings that, he's also like a scoring threat. I like Booker. I've always been a big Booker fan, but I just see the Suns at 3 right now.
Yeah, watching that team, what game was that when they played the Pelicans?
Yeah, Pelicans, yep.
Yeah, they look really good. At 3, I'm going to go with Denver.
I like it. I think Denver's going to be there, and I think the 4 is going to be I would say Dallas, but they're struggling without Kristaps, so I don't think I'm going to go with Dallas. I think I'm going to go with Utah. I mean, everything's pretty much staying really similar for me right now. I'm going with Utah there.
I have number 4 is the Trailblazers. I think 4 is a good spot for them, the way that things are kind of level out.
At 4, I'm going to have Phoenix. Then at 5, I'm going to have Portland.
And I'm going to have Phoenix at 5.
I got the Nuggets at 5.
And then at 6, this is where things get really interesting because 6 through 12 in the West could really be any combination to me. In my mind, all of these next few teams could go any different way. I'm going to say the last team that's going to skip the play-in and get out of the West in that is going to be
Not the Trailblazers?
I'm not a big Trailblazer. I'm not high on the Trailblazers. I think I'm not high on them at all.
Why not?
I don't know that it's going to last. I don't think that they have enough scoring outside of Lillard and McCollum to be able to
Gary Trent?
There. I'm not sold on Gary Trent yet.
Okay.
I will give the nod to the Trailblazers. That's where I was kind of leaning for them at 6, but I'm not very high on the Trailblazers. I think that all of these teams could be back and forth. Actually, wait, hold on. Dallas at 6. Dallas is 6. I forgot I didn't put Dallas in yet. Dallas is 6.
I don't.
6, I have the Jazz. I have the Utah Jazz right there. They're like a team that's always been consistent, like around 5 and 6 kind of area throughout the season. But I have the Jazz skipping the play-in.
Dayton, who's your last team that's playing?
Honestly, this year I'm not very high on Dallas. I know everybody's favorite MVP pick was to go with Luka Doncic, but I haven't watched the games a lot, like the Dallas games, but what I've seen, he kind of looks the same like he did last year. He didn't take a step up. Think about like Trae Young and those guys. They're taking steps up. He's kind of stayed the same for me right now. So at 6, that's tough. I might here go with Golden State.
6?
At 6, yes.
Like
I think
I said 6 through 12 could be – to me, 6 through 12 could go in any order.
I think with them, it's just getting in a rhythm and think about – and I'm so high on James Wiseman too, and I think they're going to try to make a trade by the deadline too.
You think Oubre and Wiggins are going to pick it up?
I think one of those guys are going to get traded.
But think about it, though. Before the deadline, though, there's games before. So, I mean, I think the deadline's around March?
Yeah, but with Oubre and Wiggins, they still play hard defense, you know? They play tough.
I don't know. With Oubre shooting how he's been shooting, he's finally hitting a 3. And Wiggins is off and on, but
Wiggins had
I really don't know.
With a big fourth quarter in their last game. I'm interested to see how they look when they play the Trailblazers in a back-to-back tomorrow and Saturday. That's going to be really telling to Golden State. If they get blown out in both games, that's going to be not looking good. But I do think Golden State, I'm going to have them in my play-in. I think they're a playoff team. I'm going to probably say they're going to be the 8 for me. I'll just give – my 7 is going to be Portland, and my 8 will be Golden State. And I feel like I'm forgetting.
New Orleans. Yeah.
No, New Orleans, no.
Okay. You said Golden State at 8?
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to take a picture of these, and we're going to revisit them. So, should be.
All right. You guys comment yours down, whatever you guys got. If you got anything, leave a comment. See if you can beat us. We'll come back to it later.
I got the Mavs at 7, and I got the Rockets at 8.
Not sold on the Rockets whatsoever.
I think just the fact that James Harden is a regular season beast, I think that's just gonna carry over and have them.
Christian Wood, most improved player.
I like Christian Wood. I drafted him. I know you saw me draft him.
Yeah, I wanted him.
The similarity of him and AD just couldn't. It didn't cross my mind to skip on him. I was like, let me get this guy on my fantasy team, but he brings a lot to the table.
He's a perfect big man for James Harden, too. That small ball, because he can stretch the floor, but he's tall enough, and he has the skill to guard big men, you know?
Yeah, I feel
Zach, you don't think so?
I mean, I like Christian Wood. I'm just not very high on the Rockets, and I'm not sold that James Harden is going to stay there. So I'm not putting the Rockets in they won't make my top 10.
All right, so my 7 and 8. At 7,
said,
I'm gonna have Dallas, and at 8, I'm gonna have let's go with New Orleans.
Oh, so we're not going with Houston.
So what?
Terry, were you the one that said that you had Houston?
I had Houston at 8.
Oh, I was thinking that Dayton already said that he had Houston at 8. I was like, bro, Dayton, you just said it. Now you're changing it? No, that makes sense. I'm tripping today. All right. My number 9 team. Trying to make sure I don't forget somebody. So who do I have left?
Go ahead.
Who do I have left? I've got Sacramento left. I got Minnesota. I've got New Orleans. I've got San Antonio. I've got
Memphis.
And there's 2 more.
Yeah, this is where it got tough. You have OKC?
OKC and one more I need. There's one more I'm
New
forgetting.
Orleans.
I already said New Orleans. Is it
Spurs?
Minnesota? It's Minnesota. So out of those 7 teams that I have left, I think that the 2 that are going to make it are Memphis and Sacramento.
Memphis.
Sacramento at 9, Memphis at 10.
Yeah.
Memphis, once they get Ja and Jaren back, I think they'll be able to get into the 10 seed. And I think Sacramento will be the 9.
I'm kind of nervous about when Ja returns, but I have the Warriors at 9, and I got the Kings sneaking in at 10.
I have the Kings at 9. And at 10, I'm going to have Utah.
What? 10? Utah at 10?
Holy cow.
I don't like Utah at all.
What?
That's a biased pick.
All right, so
I hate Utah.
Okay.
It's so
Okay.
boring to watch.
all right, so
I'm just gonna be honest. They're so boring to watch. I don't want them in the playoffs.
let's do one more thing. We've got a few more minutes here. We got about 5 minutes left. So let's just go through and read off the games that are happening tonight and give you guys one intriguing thing to watch.
Sure, we can do let's do the historical comparisons. We have time.
All right. We'll do the historical comparisons that we
Take
have.
a few minutes.
So we each have one player, and we're going to give a little bit of historical comparison for them. Go hit up the TikTok at Before the Shot. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at _BTS_podcast. These are going to be coming out in TikTok video form soon. They look kind of dope. They were fun to make. So
Yeah,
go like up that one right now.
Go check it out to see who it is. Cherry, why don't you go first?
Okay, so my pick, my man, my Cavaliers' very own Colin Sexton. I got him as more so like Gary Payton kind of defense potential. I see him as like Gary Payton, like his defense drives his offense for sure. I got Isaiah Thomas, not, my guy short Isaiah Thomas, but I got him as bad boy Piston Isaiah Thomas just because he's gritty. He's always overlooked. So he's always looking and playing with the chip on his shoulder. And then last I couldn't decide. I had AI and Gilbert Arenas with scoring because I feel like him in isolation, his side-to-side movement and his lateral quickness is so fast that I believe that he can get around, taller defenders or smaller defenders, and his strength is very overlooked. He can finish very well on the paint.
So the player I chose was Jokic, which was very hard. So for Jokic, my first immediate pick was Kevin McHale just because of his post-ups and his post moves and how he can dominate in the post. Then secondly, his passing ability. I wanted to choose who's to you guys, who's the best passing center of all time? I just want to know.
Man,
That's a tough question.
the best passing?
Yeah.
I'll give you the best passer to ever play a game at center. Because Magic Johnson started at center.
So for Jokic, I went with 2 guys because I don't feel like a center. There's no other center that has passed like Jokic.
I think Elijah won kind of, but I wouldn't say like at the level of Jokic.
So I did choose Magic just because he's a tall passer, and he played, and like you said, he played center for a game. And the other guy I chose was Pau Gasol. Think about when prime Pau with Kobe, how he would get it from the top of the key and kind of control the offense, and Mark too. Have you seen what Mark's doing right now with LA? Kind of at the top of the key, controlling the offense. So that's what I chose. And third, I chose Dirk just because of his step backs and his shooting ability.
That's fair.
Yeah. I'm gonna switch it up. Originally, we had planned that I was gonna do Luka Doncic, but I'm gonna switch it. I'm gonna go with Ben Simmons. So I'm gonna go with the obvious comparison that a lot of people have with him is Magic Johnson, because of his passing ability and his height and his ability to be that big point guard. But I'm going to give my second comparison, and I'm going to say Jason Kidd. because of the fact that his jumper's not that great. Jason Kidd, when he came out of school, when he first got into the NBA, did not have a good jump shot. He developed into a solid shooter as he got older. And if Ben Simmons can do that, that's going to elevate his game. But right now, he's got that progression of he can do everything and he can get a triple-double every night if he wants to. And he can do all this stuff, but he doesn't have the jump shot yet. And so that's where I'm going with my comparison.
That's good. I've never heard that. That's a good point. Wait, how old was Kidd when he developed a jumper?
Kidd was older, but Kidd wasn't 19 when he came out of college.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Ben Simmons, that's the thing. Ben Simmons is young. I believe he's only like 23, 24 years old. And, I mean, he's still got time to develop a jump shot.
Mm-hmm.
The question is, can he develop the jump shot?
I mean, you've seen his jumper on his three-point jumper. It's not terrible. It's just him having the confidence to take it, you know?
He's in his own head, just like Markelle Fultz was in his own head when he got blown up for pump faking on a free throw because he was so shaken in his own head trying to find something. Mm-hmm. And so it's a thing that he's going to have to continue to develop, but he's got the potential to do it. So we'll see.
Is there what's one game that you guys are excited to watch tonight? Just give me one.
I might be a little biased here, but I'm really interested in seeing how my Cavs bounce back against the Pacers tonight, because the Pacers are a solid team. That's a team that the Cavs will see, I believe, 3 more times after tonight, just because of the divisional battle. But I think this is something that the Cavs can kind of see where they're at against a familiar foe that they're going to play a lot, and just to see how Colin and Darius kind of bounce back from that tough loss against the Knicks. They made a lot of mistakes down the stretch, a lot of turnovers, bad play, and just to see how they bounce back. They're a young crew, so these games are important after a loss.
I'm going to take a less obvious one. The Kings and the Rockets. I haven't watched a lot of James Harden. And like I said, I've seen Christian Wood's stat line. So I want to see how those two play together, you know?
Yeah.
And plus, I really like that Kings team with Halliburton and Fox. It's a fun team to watch. And, dude, they're a fun league pass team. You said what?
Did you have them in your top 10?
My top 10? The Kings?
Yeah.
Yeah, number 9.
Okay. So I had them higher than – oh, no, I had them at 9 too. Okay. I've got a couple that I want to see. I think that the NBA TV doubleheader tonight between the 76ers and the Magic in the first game, the Magic have been red hot to start the season, and the 76ers. Yeah. And then the Suns and the Jazz, those are both going to be good games. And I'm also interested to see if Toronto can finally get off their 0-3 start against a Knicks team that all of a sudden looks like they might be able to sneak in. I had them at 10 yesterday because of Tom Thibodeau in the regular season. He wins games. And that's going to be an interesting one to watch as well. But I think that'll do it for us today. Second episode of the Before the Shot podcast. Like I said, go hit us up on socials. We'll have them in the description. And make sure to like and subscribe, comment, help us out. You know how it goes. But all right, that'll do it. Thanks for listening and watching, guys. We'll see you guys tomorrow.